More than 500,000 hospital gowns in the Seton Medical Center parking lot. And because of that, experts tell us they should no longer be used in the hospital.
I-Team reporter Dan Noyes joins us now with the story you'll see only on 7. Dan.
Well, Deanna and Dan, the spokesperson for the hospital, told me this isn't a story. Well, I explained that's not really her role to decide what's news, and that you care about this issue, about how your tax dollars are being spent. A woman identifying herself as a nurse at Seton Medical Center in Daly City called me to say she saw last week's I-Team report about all that PPE being damaged in the rain at the San Mateo Event Center, and that her hospital also dumped many boxes of PPE outside 2 months ago. After a trip to the beach this past Sunday, I stopped by and found this, row upon row of hospital gowns.
These are some from Australia, it looks like. Made in China.
I started counting. 30 pallets long, times 1, 2, 3. About 90 pallets in a row, another 60 more just down the hill. Conservatively, more than 500,000 hospital gowns sitting outside in the elements, worth at least $2.5 million, according to my qualified sources. There are so many questions about this. Number one, who paid for this? Is this tax dollars? Is this money that the hospital's going to pass on the expense to patients? Do they plan on using these things? Is it sanitary with the rain and the bugs and the rodents having access to it? I spoke with the chairman of Seton Medical, Ken Sim, on his cell phone. Then by text he said he referred this matter to the A-Team. Seton Medical spokesperson Tina Oncalled agreed to an on-camera interview, then backed out and refused to answer my questions. She texted, "The boxes of gowns are there temporarily while we secure new storage space. While the boxes are weathered, the contents are not damaged." Industry experts tell me hospital gowns are supposed to be stored in cool, dry, climate and access-controlled areas. And because the packaging is stained, wet, or otherwise damaged, the gowns should not be used in the hospital. I took this video today. San Mateo County Supervisor David Canepa.
This is embarrassing. This is something that I'm particularly not proud of, being on the Board of Supervisors. But you've exposed the sort of transparency and the accountability. When something like this happens, you have to own up to it.
Both County Manager Mike Callaghan.
County workers are scrambling to clean up a mess uncovered by the ABC 7 News I-Team. Several $1 million worth of precious PPE purchased with your tax dollars left outside in the rain. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amma Dates.
And I'm Dan Ashley. Our Dan Noyes begins our I-Team coverage tonight with a story you'll see only on 7. He is in the newsroom. Dan, what a picture that is.
Well, Dan and Amma, we all know how important masks and hospital gowns and other protective gear are as the pandemic surges. This seems hard to believe, though, but top county officials didn't know that thousands of boxes of PPE were moved outside and forgotten for months until I told them. I got a tip on a recent rainy day and went straight to the San Mateo County Event Center, Gate 9, and couldn't quite believe what I found. Thousands upon thousands of boxes containing all sorts of brand new personal protective equipment, soaking in the rain. Stacks of boxes collapsing. Oh, what a mess. Too many to count. Some breaking open and spilling their contents. Hospital gowns in all different sizes. Here's size M. There's large, and of course here's double XL. I also found pallets of face shields, vented goggles, and various types of coveralls. Boxes upon boxes of PPE just rotting in the rain. How did this happen? Our road to some answers and accountability started with a security guard. Remember, the county owns this property.
Can I help you?
I'm fine. I work at Channel 7. I'm Dan Noyes.
Okay.
I'm just taking some pictures.
Did somebody invite you to come on the property?
I don't need an invitation.
Pardon me?
I'm a taxpayer. I don't need an invitation.
If you don't have an event, then you are not supposed to be on the property. That's it.
I understand. I'll be done in a few minutes.
Okay, I'll let my boss know.
That's fine. His boss, Dana Storr, CEO of the nonprofit that runs the event center for the county. Why is all this stuff going to waste here?
So, can you stop filming?
No. I work at Channel 7. I need to ask questions.
I understand, but it's not going to waste. It's damaged. It was damaged.
It was damaged or it's being damaged now?
No, it was damaged in a previous storm.
Store would not provide.
Story you saw only on Local 10 of brand new ventilators found tossed at a Miami-Dade landfill.
Today, we tried to get some answers from the company that helped get those devices into the U.S. Local 10 News reporter Glenna Milberg is live with the exclusive. Glenna.
We did get some answers. We did not get all the answers, but it looks like this. The apparent reason why these millions in brand new ventilators were dumped here as bulky trash comes down to government regulation and money.
This is what's up. All these ventilators.
The gut reaction, outrage at the sight of millions in brand new medical ventilators earlier this month dumped as trash instead of saving lives.
This is what is going on. Brand new, brand new.
Some answers come tonight from the customs importer contracted to trash the dozens of Chinese-made ventilators brought into the U.S. last spring during the national scramble for ventilators to save the most serious COVID patients.
I'm the one who clears the documents past customs, prepares them, and submits them to the government agency.
Alpha Brokers' Sergio Lozano agreed to speak in general terms to maintain the privacy of his client. The ACM 812A ventilators, manufactured by a Beijing-based defense contractor, Aerospace Changfeng Limited, they were not on the FDA's authorized list, likely admitted in on conditional release.
Meaning that product is allowed to enter the country but is not allowed to enter commerce. Why? Because FDA has the right to review it. If they review it and they find that that product should not be in the country, they then issue a notice of detention, ending with a notice of refusal.
Weeding through months
of medical professionals dancing around with a body on their shoulders. Obviously, this is probably some kind of a medical dummy or something, but this is an absolute disgrace. If this doesn't prove to you that they are not taking this seriously and have no respect, then I don't know what will, okay? All right, look at this. Get on the conga line, folks. What is this? And mind you, empty hallways, okay? Absolutely empty. Here we go. Let's take the very, precious PPE, the protective equipment that they're freaking out about, and let's do this in our free time. Amazing. Nothing to do but dance. They're literally telling you what's going on. They have nothing to do but dance. All right? They're flat out telling you this. Wake up. What is going on? Honestly, how is this acceptable behavior? I'm just in complete shock, but, take it for what it is, guys. Look around. Look past the dancing. Do you see any bodies? Do you see any freaking out? Do you see any catastrophe? No, all I see are smiles and this retarded dance that I've seen over and over. I don't know who the hell came up with this. And then here we go again, taking thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of sophisticated medical equipment and using them as props in your TikTok videos. What a joke this is.
The patients are a lot more sick than they were the first time around. It really does feel surreal.
It's living in a science fiction movie.
From here.
We're tired.
we're exhausted. It just, a lot of times it doesn't feel like there's a lot of gas left in the tank, to try to do it. We're still, our patients are our number one priority, so we overcome that and, put our boots on and get in here and get it done. But after the end of the day, it's tough.
Yeah. See you guys. The ones that are squared are ones who we're watching closely to go to critical care. The patients are a lot more sick than they were the first time around. We have a lot more of them. They're younger. I didn't have any patients in their 20s back in the spring. I worked on Monday night, and that was our second intubation, because so far I've had an intubation every shift I've worked for the last week and a half. And I drove home and got in the driveway and kind of just broke down. It's a lot. You hate to see these people who are, completely fine and they just can't keep their oxygen up, and then they have to go up to ICU and be ventilated. And it's a lot. And I feel like it's just going to be around for.
It started off on pure adrenaline.
So many tears have been shed, and experts tell us there will be many more tears to follow.
Extremely fearful, not knowing what exactly I would find when I would step foot into the hospital behind me.
Another 2,000 lives lost nationally since yesterday as this wildfire of misery rapidly burns across the country.
No matter what we did, no matter what resources we used, what skills we used, what knowledge we used, we were likely not to save those patients, and that was gut-wrenching.
The overwhelming sense of burnout, people were openly expressing it in the past, and a lot of what we're seeing now, it's being internalized. So it doesn't mean it's not there. People are tired, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically, but people are quiet.
Every shift feels even more exhausting than the previous one. And I wish I could stand here and tell you when I predict this will all be over, because it still feels like we are a long ways away from the end.
Most nurses will work 12 hours in the emergency setting, but we're doing far more than that because we get sick too. I've heard a lot of talk of Governor Hochul sending additional personnel to help some of the hospitals. And that's the one thing that if I could ask for anything, that's what I would ask for. Small hospitals like us, we're an independent hospital. We're not part of the big networks. We don't have the resources or funds. If there is that ability to send extra personnel, then that would be welcomed because we really need it.
It's the Great Resignation hitting the healthcare industry at the worst possible time. Nearly 1 in 5 healthcare workers have quit their job during the pandemic.
With the exodus, it was really sad to see some people go. We had some really great clinicians.
I stay because it's a labor of love.
I stay for a lot of reasons, but I really feel like this is my calling, and I love to do what I do.
I feel almost a calling in society to stay in the fight, because it really still feels like a war.
The 80% of the patients that we have in the hospital are unvaccinated.
There's a lot of frustration around that. But at the same time, despite internal frustrations, fatigue, whatever we may be feeling, you always try to make sure that your empathy is there first and foremost.
We might have something going on in our lives, but somebody out there is having a worse day.
I'm still tired, and I'm still fatigued, and trying to stay optimistic about still where we're headed, because given how far we've become and still yet how far we have to go, I can't quit now.
Police say the suspect had a history of mental illness.
This is unconscionable.
Third straight day, new infections nationwide topped 800,000 as Omicron's bullseye heads west. CBS's Lilia Luciano has more now in Los Angeles. Lilia, good evening.
Good evening to you, Nancy. Well, the surge of Omicron doesn't seem to be letting up anytime soon, at least not here in California. The number of COVID deaths in Los Angeles County hasn't been this high since April. Omicron is straining America's hospitals with more than 21,000 COVID patients admitted every day.
They are overwhelmed right now in Kansas City. Really, since the Christmas season, we have seen incredible challenges.
Almost every American lives in a high-risk area. Florida just became the third state behind California and Texas to pass 5 million total cases.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Touch this. Touch this. Touch this.
You got a big booty, big booty, what you got a big booty, big booty, what you got a big booty, big booty, what you got a big booty.
Take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. Come on, like the way we rock it, so don't stop. It's under the lights when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine, nothing I can see but you when you dance. Feel good creeping up on you, so just dance. Come on, all those things I shouldn't do, but you dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling, so just dance.
Baby, come give me something, oh. Baby, come give me something, oh. 'Cause I can't stop loving.
En avant, marche!
This could be love because I had the time of my life. I never felt this way before.
Wait a minute. It's a 22. Pew, pew, pew. Pew, pew, pew. Hold up. Wait a minute.
Playing about with equipment and that. Oh my god. Oh, here's another one. How I walk into all my COVID rooms. People have died, you know. People have fucking died. What?
Shut the
fuck
up.
Yeah.
Shut all the way the fuck up until you reach
Oh,
the
hello.
top of
Following you.
fuck mountain where there are no
Following you.
fuck-ups.
Delivered a stern message to the community this afternoon. Faced with a rising case count, they say they've reached a critical point in the pandemic. There have been 3 deaths today, 7 over the past 3 days.
Grocery clerk should not have to fight a grown man to wear a mask. That's not their job.
Contra Costa County officials held nothing back, telling the community to take COVID-19 seriously and take steps to stay healthy and safe.
After a period
where we significantly slowed the spread of COVID in our community. Coronavirus has not only made a comeback, but we're seeing new record numbers of cases and hospitalizations.
More than 110 Contra Costa County residents have died from the virus. There are now 2.5 times the number of people hospitalized than there were at the beginning of the month.
We had the National Guard come out to stem nonviolent protesters who've killed no one. We need the National Guard to come out to tell these fools who don't want to wear masks that if you're gonna wear the mask or you're gonna go home.
The county says more young people are dying, and Latinx families make up 40% of the cases.
We're out here playing. This is gonna get bad. When flu season comes, how am I gonna differentiate flu from corona? How am I gonna do that?
The Board of